right, hello hunters, and welcome to the third edition of the Spicy Ramen Destiny podcast. Today, my co-hosts, Nate and Jacob from the last Wolfpack, as well as the other Wolfpack members, were unable to join after raids tonight. They just had some stuff come up, so we totally understand that. But because I had to delay the podcast already yesterday due to the server issues, and because it had been so long since I was able to work in a podcast episode for you guys due to work and trying to do actual streaming of gaming and stuff, I was worried that if I delayed the podcast again that I wouldn't get around to it, and I know some people on the channel really look forward to the podcast. So while I do apologize for this being a one-man episode, I am excited to do it here with you and recap all this great Lightfall news, and we're still going to have a good time together. Just might be a little less of a discussion and a little more of a sort of recap episode. But again, I just wanted to make sure I got this content out to you guys tonight. I'm even repping some spicy ramen tea, and I just wanted to, thank you guys for tuning in tonight, and I hope that you still find this useful. If you do, subscribing to the channel means a lot. You can actually see the community Discord over on the community tab of the channel once you subscribe. That Discord allows you to find groups to play with and get free help on Destiny, Monster Hunter, talk about any kind of other games. We do all kinds of different games on the channel. Those two are the main ones, but we do retro games, all sorts of different things. So not only that, but we'll keep you up to date on all the content coming to the channel, announcing it before it happens, getting you guys exclusive sneak peeks of stuff that I'm going to do, letting you talk with other members of the community. Just a couple nights ago, I wasn't able to even be online to stream, and yet I seen people using the Discord to play together on Monster Hunter, so that was amazing to see. So let's get the Destiny community in on that too, you guys. That said, finally, one last point about the Discord. I also give you the opportunity to ask me questions on there. Questions that you can have answered immediately, or questions that you'd like to have answered live on future episodes of Spicy Ramen Podcast. As you guys know, when it comes to the podcast, it's not the main part of the gaming channel here, but rather a supplemental part, because I always wanted to do a podcast. So because of that, I do episodes when a topic really strikes my heart or there's a lot to talk about. So far we've done the King's Fall raid, my favorite raid. And as you all know, we got that raid ring. We got that Kingslayer title as well. I'm going to wear that for the podcast. So we did King's Fall raid, and we did Destiny at the Game Awards. And so today's episode is going to be focused on Lightfall news, and I've got a whole lot of it written down here that we can talk about, because as you guys know, over the last week or so, there have just been bombshell after bombshell dropped by Bungie, including an article today, so I'm going to save that part for the end. I'm not going to talk about every single minute detail that you guys have probably already heard or may not be interested in. Instead, I've written down a list of the stuff that I think is most important to mention and to talk about on this episode. So again, I really want to thank you for coming and joining me on this adventure solo tonight. I know that my fire team's not actually empty because there's people here in the chat hanging out, and I really want to thank you for that. So I'm just going to let my Discord know that the podcast is live now. Okay, now, here we go. So let's get started. First of all, the first bit of information that I wanted to touch on is the loadout system that we're getting in Lightfall. So this is really game-changing, honestly, you guys. As you know, the community has really been heavily reliant on the API and, DIM and things of that nature, Destiny Item Manager, third-party apps, and even the Destiny app to some extent, to switch over loadouts quickly and to transfer stuff without having to make multiple trips to the vault. But now, finally, Destiny in Lightfall is going to be getting that loadout system, which is going to allow you to basically save not only your cosmetics, but also like all your mods, all of your guns, all your selections. You're going to be able to save up to 10 different loadouts. You get 10 slots unlocked pretty much automatically if you are already at sort of Guardian rank 6. However, that's going to be pretty much everybody who plays the game on a regular basis, even on a casual basis. It's really going to be just new players that don't have those all unlocked immediately, just so they don't get overwhelmed, I'm sure is the purpose. But everyone will have some loadout slots unlocked immediately. So you're going to be able to make Crucible loadouts, Raid loadouts. Guys, this is a game changer. I mean, how many times in Destiny do you have to sit around and wait in between sessions because, one member of your fire team is having to switch around their whole loadout to get a new strategy going? So this is just going to be fantastic to have on an in-game screen. And it's really just going to be quite a game changer, if you ask me. I mean, I put this at the top of the list because I felt like it was such a critical change being added to this game. Just a fantastic change. We're talking about something that is such a large quality of life improvement that I feel like it's going to be hard to remember a Destiny without it, and be so thankful that Bungie's putting this in. Monster Hunter has a system like this already. I can't imagine having to switch all of your decorations on Monster Hunter manually. It would be a nightmare. So this is just, this is just going to be an absolute lifesaver for the build crafting as we go forward in Destiny. And so, if you direct your attention to the screen right here, if you're watching on video, and if you're watching on audio, that's no problem. You're not really, you're just going to miss the little visual cue here, but you'll still understand what I'm talking about. If you're trying to get your stats, like say mobility and resilience, worked out, and you're trying to use certain mods, like say you're trying to, use some void mods and stuff like that, and say you want to switch from the last word, say you're playing PvP and now you're ready to go into raid and you want to put on Arbalest and a linear fusion rifle in your heavy slot, maybe a different secondary, whatever. You can have all that pre-saved in loadouts and just switch without having to go on here and individually look at your armor and switch the mods. So that's going to be a just huge quality of life change. Really wanted to be sure that got a lot of attention here tonight. So this is going to decrease your time between sessions, really. And also they did say that you're going to be able to label those loadouts. Okay, the next bullet point here, we want to talk about mods. Now, there is a lot going on with mods. All currently applied mods will actually be able to be seen on one inventory screen. This is great because this is going to allow you to really build craft much faster and much more efficiently, because I'll be honest, sometimes I don't even have the time to feel like I want to switch around all my mods because I don't even know exactly what all, I have to work with. Being able to see them all on one screen is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And better yet, you're going to be able to see how they affect your stats come Lightfall. So there's even going to be a tab to switching over to what perks and stats you have on your weapons without having to go back to character screen. And at Guardian rank 6, you'll have all mods unlocked. So what that's essentially going to mean is on one screen, you're going to have all your currently equipped mods. You're going to be able to see how they affect your stats. And then you're going to be able to tab over and immediately look at your weapons to make sure that the mods you're selecting go with your build. Really another game-changing addition to the game, you guys. Couldn't be more over the moon about this one. The mod system in Destiny has always been one of the sort of weaker points of the build crafting. And just of the game in general, mods always have felt weird. They've already hot fixed in where we have all current mods unlocked. They're going to do that same thing for Lightfall once you get to Guardian rank 6, which again, most players will have already as soon as Lightfall drops. And that's just great because they'll all be unlocked. You'll be able to look at them, tinker with them, and have that one nice universal screen. Get a quick drink real quick. Alright. Energy types are going to be removed on mods. Again, I'll show you on the screen. As you see right now for my build, the way I have it set up, I have to have two void pieces, a stasis piece, and 2 arc pieces, which cost quite a bit to change the energy of if I were going to need to do that. Quite a bit of glimmer and upgrade modules, that kind of thing. So what this is going to do is remove that. You no longer need to worry about the elemental energy of your armor. And that is a fantastic change because it's such an unnecessary thing anyway. It feels very disconnected. So I'm glad they're taking that out, and basically you're not going to have to worry about that. Instead, you're going to have combat style sockets also being moved into an additional mod socket. They're going to reduce the energy cost of many mods, which is going to allow for deeper build crafting. Archetype weapon mods are also gone. So if you will take a look at the screen, they're being replaced with damage type mods. So for example, a mod like this, like hand cannon targeting, or a mod like this, fusion rifle ammo finder, all that kind of stuff, particularly like this one's, the targeting mods, and then sort of the reserve mods over here on the chest piece, linear fusion reserves, all those. There's one for every weapon type. Those are going to be gone and instead replaced with energy type on that. So it's going to be, say, a mod for void weapon reserves, void weapon targeting, solar weapon targeting, stasis weapon targeting, that kind of thing. So that's fantastic because that's going to allow you to really, because most of these, the new 3.0 verbs and everything are found on the newer perks, most people are trying to sync up their weapon energy types these days with their builds. It's certainly the case with the Gerfalcon Volatile Void build. You want to always use void weapons, especially stuff that works really good with the build like Repulsor Brace and things like that. And so what I really am excited about with this change is being able to just, again, remove unnecessary layers and focus right up on being able to, in fact, just focus on the element. Instead of having to go through, I need rocket launcher for this encounter raid. Okay, everybody, hold on. I'm going to switch over to linear fusion rifle for this part of the raid. Having to just get rid of all that and go, boom, element type. So much simpler. It's going to take away so many of those unnecessary slots because there's so many weapon archetypes in the game, and as they add new ones, like Glaive, just keeps mudding up the menu. So glad to see that gone. Okay, here's another really big point. I put a lot of the big points here at the top of the hour here, you guys. Artifact mods, which are already a heavily contents part of the game. So all the stuff you're going to unlock from your seasonal artifact, like your champion mods and all that, which currently you have to not only purchase with your artifact unlocks that you earn through XP, but then you also have to slot them into your build, which forces you into having to use certain builds. For example, some of the mods, like look at Unstoppable Grenade Launcher, costing 7 energy. That's taking up everything you have on your arms. So very limiting to your build crafting. Well, in Lightfall, hallelujah, that is going away. And instead, they're going to be considered unlockable perks, which you can have 12 passively active at a time with no need of socketing them. That is now fantastic because you're just going to want to put on basically all the champion mods, and then usually every season has like 2 or 3 mods that are real bangers in addition to the champion mods that are good to use. Like, this season people want Weaken Clear, Monochromatic Maestro, Solo Operative if you're doing solo, that kind of thing. Those are just examples. It changes every season. But the point is you'll be able to have all your champion mods on all the time without having to actually work them into your build. I mean, come on, guys. Bravo, Bungie, on that. That is a great change. Very excited about that. Big W for the game. So Artifice Armor, which I like using. I have a whole set of it on right now, which is stuff you get from the Master Dungeon that has this extra slot over here. That is now going to be getting a new mod slot that grants 3 points of character stats to round out your stats. So you could get free mobility or resilience or recovery, whatever. Just a nice little change I wanted to put on. Next, let's take a look at some gameplay-related things here. Match game is going to be removed from high-level activities, and base shield resistance to non-matching energy types will be now 50% across the entire game, which is similar to the chunkier shields in Gambit. This is great. Again, this was an outdated modifier on GMs and stuff, especially because with match game, you're not really able to take advantage of using all your element weapons to match your subclass, like, say, the Volatile Rounds build for Night Stalker, because you're going to need a solar and an arc weapon to go with your Void subclass, that kind of thing. So again, it's just about eliminating these unnecessary and dated layers. And Lightfall really seems like it's going in the direction of deeper build crafting and rewarding you for actually playing to the strengths of your subclass after those 3.0 updates. And here's a big one. Everybody's going to rejoice about this. Champions are such a pain point. Now they can be stunned with subclasses, you guys. So barrier champions can be stunned with Solar, Void, and Strand abilities. Overload can be stunned with Arc, Stasis, and Void abilities. And Unstoppable can be stunned with Arc, Solar, Stasis, and Strand abilities. So basically every class has at least 2 champions that it can stun. So that is absolutely fantastic. Just going to give you even more ways to stun. And when you combine this with the fact that the seasonal champion mods are now passively unlocked, champions are going to be dropping like flies. Okay, now back to some more armor charge updates with the new build crafting on that. Armor charge mod's functionality is now granted when you have any armor charge mod equipped rather than needing 2 to make a system work. Now, an example of this is, say, Charge with Light. You would have to have one mod that would actually let you access Charge with Light, and then basically another mod to actually receive the benefit. Well, now you're only going to need one. So let me show you on screen an example of what I'm talking about. So previously, this right here, Powerful Friends, what I have on. When you become Charged with Light, nearby allies also become Charged with Light. Now, it's worth mentioning, nowhere in here does it actually allow you to become Charged with Light. So you would have to, in fact, put on another mod, like say this one, Become Charged with Light by finishing a combatant, and you'd have to then take up 2 mod slots just to make this one Powerful Friends benefit works. Well, now with the new armor charge system, just having a mod like Powerful Friends on, for example, is going to give you access to, say, Charge with Light. Although all that stuff is changing, the point I'm making with this example is you no longer need 2 steps. Any mod that is related to a subfamily, right? So any Charge with Light mod, for example, in this theoretical example, is going to allow you to, by default, have a way to become Charged with Light and use that benefit with only one mod. Another fantastic change. Hopefully that makes sense, you guys. If you need help with that explanation, be sure to comment down below. I know the wording of it is a little difficult to nail. I'll be happy to explain it a different way if you need help. Took a lot of teaching classes in college, so I got this. So default armor charge stacks are 0 to 3 with a max of 6 by using increased capacity mods, which are going to be on chest pieces. So basically, armor charge is going to use orbs of power, not elemental wells, Warmind cells, or any of that. So everything's being circumvented into orbs of power, and everything's going to be armor charge stacks. So instead of cells and wells and all that kind of stuff, you're going to have these stacks of armor charge that allow you to access your benefits. And we don't know exactly what all those benefits are going to be because, of course, there's tons of new reworked mods and everything coming to Lightfall. Okay. Mods that provide a passive ongoing benefit while you have any stacks of armor charge, so some sort of increased mobility, whatever, some kind of passive benefit. Every 10 seconds, a stack of that will fall off if not consumed by something else, and it can be extended by using an extended time charge mod, which is going to be a new sort of mod in Lightfall. Here's a great thing. Finisher mods, which are commonly seen down here on the class item. I'll show you an example on screen. Like this one, Finisher Final Blows generate an overshield, requires 1/4 your energy. A really good one here is like Finishers giving your whole fire team ammo. Those are no longer going to take from your super. Instead, they are going to, in fact, consume armor charges. So you can actually work these into your build without having to sacrifice your ever so valuable super in the middle of in-game activities like raids and dungeons. It could be really useful. Okay, and then that was sort of a lot of the build crafting type stuff and quality of life changes. I now want to take a look at some more stuff here. Sort of related to that, each subclass, now that elemental wells are gone, will now spawn damage type objects instead of wells. So we have ionic traces for arc, fire sprites for solar, void breaches for void, stasis shards for stasis, and something unidentified for strand. This ability will come straight from the subclass instead of mods, and they will grant ability energy and have other effects depending on your build. Okay. Here's a big one. Resilience is being nerfed to 30% instead of 40% like it currently is at tier 10. As you can see, I and pretty much everyone use 100% mobility because at 40% damage reduction, it really feels like you kind of have to. Now that that's being nerfed to tier 10 at 30%, I think it's just going to open up more opportunities for people to use different stats, especially because Bungie did say in that same post that you're going to need less high investment in order to get sort of the lower benefits. So basically you may be able to get to say 15 or 20% resilience faster with less investment, and then you can put those investment mods into a different stat you might want, like discipline or strength. So I think that's a fair change. I'm sure everybody will have thoughts on that though. Finally, the new raid, which we are definitely going to be trying to do right away, is going to go live March 10th on a Friday at 11 Central, 9 Pacific. And this is sort of a hot topic in itself because I know that, a lot of people prefer it to be on Saturday because so many people are off on the weekend. For me, it doesn't really personally affect me because the kind of job I work in, my schedule is very sporadic. I'm full-time. I work every week. However, the days I am needed are sort of varying. I'm a manager where I work, so sort of depending on the needs of my business is going to determine when I'm there. So a lot of times I do work weekends. A lot of times I miss out on Saturday raids, and I may miss out on Friday too. It just really depends. But, I understand how this could be frustrating because so much of the workforce is in fact off on the weekend. But I'm sure for retail managers like myself, any sort of business type thing like that, or food workers, this isn't really going to affect them as much because they probably work weekends already. So give me your thoughts on that down below, you guys. I do think Saturday still probably would have been the best option to do it, but Friday is not a terrible option either. If they just gave us the option to try out contest mode after the fact, I don't understand why not, but I think really that's sort of what's controversial about it, with contest mode and all that. Okay, so that was everything I had on our notes section prior to today's article coming out. Obviously, this would have lasted much longer had I had some people here to discuss it with, but that's okay. Hopefully you guys are still hanging in there and enjoying this one-man show. I got to thinking about it. Makes it easy on the weekend. Yeah, I get that too, Nate. I mean, we'll be able to, in fact, probably pop the raid on Saturday, hopefully Saturday night at least if I have to work, and all that. Try it out day 2. But anyway, Neil deGrasse Tyson has a science podcast. I'm sorry, I'll be there next time. That's no problem. I was gonna say Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm a nerd, so I listen to his Space Talk podcast quite a bit, and it is a one-man show as well. So I do really enjoy that one. So hopefully you can find this one informative, as a Destiny player. All right. So next I want to go ahead. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about the brief interruption. So I'm just updating the chat. Should be fixed now. Everything's looking green. Okay, sorry about that. Luckily, I just rewatched to see where we were, and it didn't have anything in relation to the the new article on there yet. So basically we just cut off talking about the Neil deGrasse Tyson Space podcast. So Now, to close out the show, you guys, I want to talk about this article today a little bit. So one big thing that we have going on here is Umbral engrams are totally going away in Season 20. Instead, they're going to be seasonal engrams. That's something seasonal content's transitioning to. I much prefer that. Umbral engrams get on my nerves for some reason. Any Umbral engram that a player still has in their inventory, however, after Season 20 begins, which is going to be first season of Lightfall, will be decryptable by Rahul. So you're not just going to lose them. Okay, Ada1 is going to be selling Destiny 2 shaders that have been unavailable for quite some time. This is very exciting for you fashion hunters out there. Ada1 has wares if you have 10,000 Glimmer, but keep in mind she'll only be offering 3 shaders per week during Season 20. So I'm about to just name the list of all the different shaders she'll be offering, and some of these are definitely old school. We got Burgusian Knight, Sato Tribe, House of Marion, Rasmussen Clan, Refurbished Black Armory, New Age Black Armory, Genotype Null Zero, which is like the Escalation Protocol shader, I believe, Dark Amalon, Envious Touch, Gold Leaf, Golden Empire, Cinder Char, Shadow Guilt, that's a good one, Vitrified Chronology, Vitrified Duality, Valkyrie Zero, Midnight Exigent, the Mad Monk, that's sort of one of the shaders that you could get from the little Rasputin boxes, the little nodes back in the Warmind expansion. Bray Innovation, Arctic Dreamscape, Kairos Black, Kairos Bronze, Kairos Gold, Mercury Prophetic, Tangled Bronze, Tangled Rust, New Pacific Sync Worn, New Pacific Sync, New Pacific Rush Worn, New Pacific Rush, Flowers of Io Worn, Flowers of Io, Echoes of Io Worn, Echoes of Io, New Monarchy Allegiance, War Cult Scheme, Dead Orbit Vision, New Monarchy Succession, War Cult Endgame, Dead Orbit Resurrection, New Monarchy Regalia, New Monarchy Diamonds, War Cult Camo, War Cult Rain, Dead Orbit Camo, and Dead Orbit's Fate. So all those faction shaders and shaders from planets that no longer are with us in the game right now coming back. That is amazing. Absolutely fantastic to see that, you guys. So let me know down below what shader you're excited about popping through. It would be nice if they did this with old season armor ornaments. Yeah, I completely agree with that, chat. It just really needs to happen. This is a step in the right direction, bringing back these old shaders. There's no reason in locking people out from these great shaders. So this is a really nice quality of life change. I love the little things like this because, now we're still going to have a reason to go see Ada all the time, and if anything, a less frustrating reason. Vanguard and Nightfall focusing. This is very exciting. Starting in Season 20, Zavala will offer the abilities for players to focus Vanguard weapons and armor. Vanguard will have the final of the core rituals to get comprehensive engram focusing options. Vanguard engrams will be a virtual currency and will live exclusively on the rank progress bar of Commander Zavala. Engrams may be opened individually by players directly at Zavala. Gear focusing. You can now focus Vanguard engrams directly into Vanguard armor or weapons. Vanguard engrams do not need to be claimed in order to be spent on focusing. Individual pieces of gear must have been acquired at least once prior to focusing, so you get a drop one time, and then you can focus it. Vanguard armor available for focusing Season 20 will be the Photo Suede set. Class item will not be focusable as they do not have base stats, and thus you will not need to do that. Vanguard weapons available for focusing in Season 20 are Xeno Class 4, the Third Axiom, Royal Entry, Empty Vessel, Punching Out, Fortissimo 11, a really good solar bow called Strident Whistle, Pure Poetry, the Hand Cannon, and Prolonged Engagement. You will have brand new Vanguard weapons are drop only for a single season and are then available for focusing the following season. And Zavala's focusing options will expand further during following seasons. So if a new weapon comes out, it's just a drop that season to encourage you to grind it out, and then it's focusable the season after. Nightfall weapon focusing. Here's the juicy stuff. Nightfall weapons must have been acquired from Nightfall strikes at least once before being available for focusing. Nightfall weapon focusing costs will be 1 Vanguard engram, 20,000 Glimmer, and 50 Legendary Shards. Nightfall weapons available for focusing in Season 20 will be Malicious Birthright, Mindbender's Ambition, the Wendigo, the Hung Jury, the Swarm, and the Buzzard. Now, Adept Nightfall Ciphers. This is exciting because I'm so pumped to do this with Swarm and with Mindbenders. When completing GM Nightfalls, in addition to previously existing rewards, players will acquire Adept Ciphers. The number of ciphers players earn depending on their qualification for Platinum, Gold, or Silver champion rewards at the end of the Nightfall. So be sure to try to kill all your champions and get those Platinum rewards, you guys. Number of ciphers awarded per GM is 2 for Platinum, 1 for Gold, 0 for Silver. And the way that you're going to get this is for Adept Weapons, you're going to be able to focus Adept Weapons by turning in 3 Vanguard Engrams, 50,000 Glimmer, 10 Adept Nightfall Ciphers, and 50 Legendary Shards. Quite expensive, but quite worth it when you are trying to get that Adept roll that you want on your favorite Nightfall Grandmaster weapon. So again, Adept Nightfall weapons are acquired through GMs just like now, but you can in fact focus them thanks to Adept Ciphers. It would be nice if they did this, kind of expensive for Adept. It is quite expensive, but it's understandable. You know, they want you to grind those GMs, they're repeatable. It's also worth mentioning that like the Trials one previously, the Trials Adept cost like 250 Legendary Shards, so it's really not even as bad as that. The ciphers are going to take a little bit of grinding, though. Adept Nightfall Focusing. Zavala will offer a single Adept Nightfall weapon for focusing each week, which will match the Nightfall weapon currently in rotation. So again, the ones for Season 20 will be Malicious Birthright, Mindbender's Ambition, Wendigo, Hung Jury, Swarm, and Buzzard. Vanguard and Nightfall Focusing isn't the only update we're getting. Every ritual will see growth in the number of items available for focusing. So Crucible's getting Sword Flight, Phoenix Strife, Anka Seeker, Wind Contender, Wing Discipline, Wing Theorem, and Cinder Pinion for Legacy Armor Focusing. If a player has not acquired a piece of armor previously, it will cost 3 Crucible Engrams, 50 Shards, 10,000 Glimmer. However, if they have acquired it previously, it's only 1 Engram, 25 Shards, and 5,000 Glimmer. Nightfall Legacy weapons are getting Plug 1, Uzume, Hothead, Comedian, Duty Bound, Silicone Neuroma, DFA, and Horror's Least. However, you will not be able to focus the Adept versions of those. If a player has not acquired that weapon, 7 Vanguard Engrams, 100 Shards, 10,000 Glimmer. If they have acquired that weapon, 3 Engrams, 25 Shards, 25,000 Glimmer. So this is great. You're able to focus weapons that are no longer with us without even having to, in fact, get the weapon. 3 Engrams is a lot, but at least it is for stuff. Well, on the Vanguard one, that's even if you have already got it. That is too expensive. But on the Crucible one, it's not too big of a deal. Vanguard armor sets available for Legacy Focusing. The Took Offense, the Shelter in Place, Xenos Veil 4, Phobos Warden, Vigil of Heroes. Vanguard armor focusing cost, if a player has not acquired, it will again be 3 Engrams, 50 Shards, 10,000 Glimmer. If a player has acquired a piece of armor, 1 Engram, 25 Shards, 5,000 Glimmer. That brings us to Gambit. For the Gambit armor sets, we can get Calamity Rig, Ancient Apocalypse. The focusing cost will be, if they've not acquired, 3 Engrams, 50 Shards, 10,000 Glimmer. If they have acquired, 1 Engram, 25 Shards, 5,000 Glimmer. Iron Banner is getting Archon's Thunder, Reeswalker, Occluded Finality, Forge's Pledge, Peace Bond, and Frontier's Cry, as well as Iron Forerunner, Iron Will, Iron Truage, Iron Fellowship, and Iron Remembrance set. So a ton of Iron Banner gear here for focusing. Just a great change. Increases the grindability and replayability of these ritual events, and showing the ritual core playlist of Destiny the love that they need, so that it's just as exciting as the end game, or at least, climbing up that scale. Iron Banner focusing, if not acquired, is 7 Engrams, 100 Shards, 10,000. If they have, 3 Engrams, 25 Shards, 25,000. I think you're starting to see the patterns here. Trials of Osiris weapons for focusing are Shara's Wrath, Reed's Regret, Aisha's Embrace, Burden of Guilt and Forgiveness. Some real bangers there, especially Reed's Regret. Adept version of Legacy weapons will not be available for focusing, just like GM. Trials armor sets available for focusing will be the Exile set and the Pyrrhic Ascent set, so some old school ones. Trials of Osiris gear focusing cost. If not acquired, again, it'll be 7 Engrams, 100 Shards, at 10,000 Glimmer. If you have, however, previously acquired it, 3 engrams, 25 shards, 25,000 glimmer. Now listen to this. This is really cool. For players who have missed out on cosmetic rewards in the past, you will now have a chance to receive rewards at the end of a match. Shaders, emblems, ghost projections, and other cosmetics that players could previously earn in-game are now going to be added to match rewards. That is fantastic. Destiny players have proven time and time again that we will absolutely grind activities for cosmetics. So I'm thrilled to see this. As of Season 20, we will see these Legacy match rewards implemented for Crucible, Vanguard, and Iron Banner, and Gambit. Details for Legacy match rewards for Trials of Osiris will come a little later. We're going to lower focusing costs across the board for items currently in the Ritual loot pool. Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard focusing will now see 1 Ritual engram, Crucible, Gambit, or Vanguard, 5,000 Glimmer, and 25 shards. Trials of Osiris, Iron Banner, and Nightfall will now see 1 Ritual engram, Trials, Iron Banner, or Vanguard, depending on the vendor, 20,000 Glimmer, 50 Legendary Shards. Adept weapon focusing for Trials of Osiris and Nightfall weapons will now see the following costs: 1 Ritual engram, Trials, or Vanguard, 50,000 Glimmer, 50 Legendary Shards, and a 7-win Trials ticket or 10 Adept Ciphers. So there you go, chat. That is how it's going to get reduced big time. So I guess these above were sort of the reduced costs that you're going to be able to do. And those are going to be available now. There's the usual shakeup of the loot pool coming Season 20. Here's what you need to know about what loot's on the way out and what's on the way in. So for Trials, here's the weapons leaving: Forgiveness and Burden of Guilt. The ones being added is a Astral Horizon shotgun and the Immortal SMG. For Iron Banner, leaving this season is the Razor's Edge sword, which is my favorite sword in the game. It looks like a lightsaber and it's a vortex frame. I highly recommend it. It's got some great style and great perks. Frontier's Cry is a hand cannon. That's leaving as well. Being added is Jorum's Claw pulse rifle and Bite of the Fox sniper. Finally, for Nightfall, we're getting rid of Horror's Least and DFA and adding Buzzard and the Swarm back into the rotation. And that is sort of everything that I wanted to break down for you guys news-wise. Just briefly, I want to talk about how this story of Destiny's Light and Dark Saga is really coming to the beginning of the end, and it's very exciting. Pumped to see where everything goes, but I'm really just excited to see exactly how incredible this story is going to shake out to be. Neomuna is going to be a beautiful destination. We're really starting to learn some more about the Witness, our true enemy. Everything feels like it's coming towards that second collapse and trying to avoid extinction level events. It's exciting, it's large scale, it's climatic, and I think this is just going to be a great expansion. When you add all these quality of life changes that we talked about here today, and these build crafting changes that we talked about here today, on top of the fact that we already knew the lore, the new subclass, and sort of the destination was already going to be amazing, this is shaping up to be a great expansion, you guys. It may very well rival things like the Taken King and Forsaken, which are highly regarded as the best 2 expansions in Destiny's history. I am pumped to see it. I'm ready for February 28th. I'm absolutely pumped. And I hope you guys are pumped too, Guardians, because I got to tell you, it is a really exciting time to be in the Destiny universe. I want to thank you all so much for watching today. I know this seems like kind of a short episode. It's right around 40 minutes. However, I am sort of soloing it right now. So kind of once I get through all the news, these are a little shorter, much like Space Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson, as I mentioned earlier. So if you haven't checked out his podcast, guy's a genius. It's just amazing to listen to. I love hearing him talk. He's got a very soothing voice. Hopefully you found my voice soothing, Hunters, here for this Destiny news. And that's going to be all for this episode of the Spicy Ramen Podcast. Rest in peace, Decade 6. Thank you for joining, Hunters. And until next time, this is Autobot Dawson.